Ticket to Paradise, the George Clooney and Julia Roberts reunion. I know you were clamoring for it, Dave.
You know, shoot me, but I do love some star power, and it's
Yeah.
hard to beat Clooney and Roberts, two of the absolute megastars of recent times in Hollywood. And yeah, honestly, it was pretty great to just be hanging out with them in Bali.
Yeah, overall, I felt like this movie was enjoyable. It's not a movie that will be on my top 10 list, maybe probably not my top 20 list. But maybe top 30, given how this year we were just talking last week, we haven't seen as many movies. Um, yeah, it was just fun kind of being with them, and Clooney and Roberts have such a nice uh rapport between them. Obviously we've seen them in quite a few movies, probably most notably would be the Ocean's movies where they play each other's paramours and that as
Oh
well.
yeah,
But um yeah, I think overall I found myself being like, this was fine. It was just fun to be with them. I didn't really find it to be like a great rom com. I did like how the ending wasn't what you would usually expect for a rom com centered around two people. But yeah, I think there's a lot to like. What did you like about it?
yeah. So I think actually it is a pretty successful rom com. Maybe that's per the lowered standard of recent times for the romantic comedy as a film genre. We're having a bit of a renaissance. Streaming has kind of helped that in a sense, but I think it's just kind of elevated by the presence of Clooney and Roberts, as well as Caitlin Dever, who's really great, of
Hmm.
course, as well, playing their daughter character.
Yes.
And I think the movie is effective at communicating those emotional beats on the daughter side of things, while actually making you like earn the obvious anticipated reconciliation as in all rom-coms from the Clooney and Roberts characters themselves, where it's a movie that you're obviously going to see the parents because of who's playing them. But it doesn't actually really short shrift the daughter either. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing to really surprise you, I guess, but I think it's just kind of fun to be with, and I think Clooney and Roberts are quite good at the dialogue and have that good chemistry due to having many roles together before, not just the Ocean's movies. And yeah, like just in the beginning, having them just always trying to get the last word in on each other. I think they're both just really crushing it. Like this is the best Clooney's been in quite some time. I have to feel like he hasn't acted as much as we would like in recent times, but I mean, this just felt like the classic Clooney charm to me.
Totally. And I mean, so much lower stakes than a lot of the other stuff he's done,
Right.
um, which I think allows him just to be silly and funny and charming. And I agree. I think he was great. Julia Roberts in a lot of sense like kind of has to play the straight man to him, which I think doesn't really allow her to like be herself fully in this. But I still think she's pretty great, and especially when she's talking with man, who is she? She's talking with like, was it a friend or something about like uh him and Paul and all of it. I feel like there was like I can't remember exactly the scene, but when she was like kind of
Was
breaking
it
it
her
down.
boyfriend, the pilot, flight attendant?
No, so Paul is the boyfriend. Maybe it was like someone who works at the resort that they were staying at or the hotel or
Mm.
something. But there's a scene I'm trying to remember exactly, but she was like talking to somebody about her like conflict with it, and
Mm.
I thought she's pretty good with that. Um, and I really kind of going back to like the twist at the end, how they share a kiss and then they both just start laughing at each other and are like, no, this is not it. Like I just really loved that because it was just not what I expected at all, and it felt like so true to the situation. That like
Yeah.
you could see a situation like this bringing these people together, but then being like, fuck that, like no,
Right.
we're not together
Re-
for a reason. I really appreciate that.
Really setting it up like nicely too, where you find out that Clooney owns the property by their shared lake memory, and he has never sold it. And like they really set you up, but then you're right, it doesn't go that way. And then
Yeah.
I love how at the end they both still jump off the boat though, and you get the
Mhm.
freeze frame, very throwback feeling as a way to end a movie with a frame like that.
Yep.
Um, I enjoyed Billy Lord's presence just as Caitlin Dever's friend. She's just kind of doing Billy Lord things in terms of her comedic acting, where she's just kind of being like an airhead type, but
Mhm.
she's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
How did you like the beer pong scene where they're like doing beer pong with like some like local moonshine whiskey type thing? I thought that was like really funny, even if it was not actually a credible form of the drinking game beer pong.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was like, oh, this is really how it's played, but I still thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, there's some fun moments. I also like how they kind of bring in that like the cultural aspects of the people from Bali and
Yeah.
like kind of. I think that felt pretty true. I mean, I don't really know all those, so maybe it's not, but it felt like they were at least trying to be respectful of the area that they were paying homage to. So yeah, overall, I think the scene that probably stands out most, just in terms of comedy, is like the airplane scene where like Paul, the boyfriend, is flying, and they have the woman between them who's like so
Yes.
ridiculous. I also love when they get off the plane after they hit all that turbulence, how she's the one like cussing Paul out. I thought that was pretty funny.
Mm.
It's definitely some fun scenes. Just kind of looking at like the critical reception to this, panned a little bit by critics, but it seems like people that go to see this really enjoyed it. It has an A- cinema score,
Hmm.
which is pretty good, and I think that probably speaks to the fact that you get these two, George Clooney and Julie Roberts, and there's like a real, I think, uh, niche of an audience of older women. Probably somewhere in like mid 30s to like 50s who really don't have movies made for them much anymore. So I wonder if
Yeah.
we're gonna see a little bit more of this. It came in second to Black Adam this weekend, so not that there was really anything else going up
Hmm.
against Black Adam. So I wonder if maybe there's hope that we'll see some more of these made in the future.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Ticket to Paradise box office, which is already quite robust overseas, where it released like over the past month already, you would see a lot of older audiences showing up in the first weekend to see this movie. So I would expect pretty strong legs for Ticket to Paradise, which is obviously no guarantee with this type of film at
Hmm.
the theater anymore. The Lost City was a pretty successful film earlier this year with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, kind of a similar thing, although that leaned a little bit more into the action side of things. This, though, yeah, I think it's just a really good example of like top tier star power can still work and be sold if you do it correctly. Um, one note I was kind of thinking of: wouldn't it be fun if like Caitlin Deaver's character, the daughter, was actually played by Emma Roberts, the
Yeah,
niece of Julia Roberts? I don't know if Emma Roberts can quite play 22 anymore. She's in her early 30s, but I just thought that would have been funny to finally have them like be related in a movie.
yeah, I agree. It would have been fun, but maybe someday.